It'll just be on the grams.
Totally.
Yeah.
We like it on the grams. That's where the stuff goes. Hi. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to SexualiTEA.
Yeah.
A sex positive podcast through an intersectional lens. Mm-hmm. I am Kia.
I am Mia.
And, and we are sex educators here in the Seattle area. And Mia is actually a sex therapist, too.
I am.
Woo!
I am. I'm a sex therapist. And tonight we get to talk about a lot of fun, incredible things. And also, Miss Briq House, you're an educator.
Yes, I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am an educator.
So all three of us are educators up here. And I think it's super great to recognize that education and where you get your education from doesn't all need to be the same thing.
Oh, no, it does not.
And our paths don't all have to be the same path in order to be knowledgeable in in the field that we're in.
Yes.
Absolutely.
I think actually it shouldn't be the same thing.
No.
Right? Like this is where diversity, growth comes from diversity, right? How we learn comes from diversity.
Yes.
So the education route I went doesn't have to be for everyone. The education you went doesn't have to be for everyone. This is diversity.
Absolutely.
Everyone learns differently. Yeah. Everyone's body functions differently.
Yeah.
So why not have a variation of humans?
I love it.
To teach about all those wonderful things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And kind of the cool thing about SexualiTEA and how we kind of all came about, me and I actually met through Elena Gavash, formerly the development director at the Center for Sex Positive Culture. Yeah. And we met We met at an event called the SAR. Can you tell us about what the SAR is?
Yeah. I just did one this morning too. Sexual attitude reassessment training, and it's an invitation for educators and therapists and counselors to learn. We're practicing social distancing, so it's like a little bit of a trying to do the six feet away kind of thing.
You're all doing great.
Thanks. So are you. So it was a really cool course. Bianca Loriano is a stellar human being and ran the course this morning. So I did that, and then I get to be here with you, and I'm just like, what is my life right now?
Good life.
Your life is good.
A good life.
It's a good life.
It's incredible.
So if you visit our Instagram page, it is _sexuala.t, as in sipping tea.
Because we sip tea.
We sip tea.
We do.
_ And there you will find mini podcasts that we've done, so you can kind of get an idea of our flavor and what we do. But I mean, those are some good ass shoes. Shoes are so
They're
good.
so fun. I know.
Love
I'm
it.
obsessed.
This is going to be super fun. Briq and I know each other through burlesque and have been pretty buddy now for about 3 years, so that's pretty dope.
We met through burlesque, but we know each other through like all kinds of things now because we're real friends.
Absolutely. And so Briq and I have a very easygoing, casual style of the way that we conversate, and me and I also have a very easy way of conversating. So I think that you guys are in for a treat with this podcast tonight. And this is our very first full-length podcast, so we really appreciate you guys coming out and listening to it. Yeah. But we're going to get into tonight. It's vague, and I like vagueness because it gives you more room to kind of grow out of. But we're calling this episode The Erotic.
Yes.
That's what we're calling it. Mostly because I was super inspired by the Atlanta Tantra School.
Yes.
And
shout out to Amina. I love you.
Yes. And she declared August to be Erotic Embodiment Month. And,
period.
Right? And I've been feeling that like deep in my bones all month. And I'm like, we're going to talk to Briq about this. I feel like this is good. And it just so happens that the stars also aligned that WAP came out, and it's got people all in their fucking feels. And
big time.
And so this is, I felt like a really good segue for The Erotic to talk about wet ass pussy, to talk about the Madonna horror complex, and also talk about sex work. So I really want to get into it. Briq, how did you get started in sex education?
Ooh, how did I get started in sex education? Well, I was born into a family that was deeply, deeply entrenched into the Black Christian church cult. And I feel like that was the beginning of my journey in sex work, because I had to like come out of that, unlearn, undo, unhook, unbrainwash myself from all of those really terrible ideas around sensuality and sexuality and gender and just all the things. So coming up out of that is where my journey with sex work began, because I was married to a man who I love very much. He's one of my best friends. But we were married, and we were only married because we thought God said we should be, and that didn't really make any sense. So once we freed one another to go and like actually live the life that we wanted to live and like figured what even that meant, it was time for exploration. And I had always been drawn to sex work, but I always was like teetering back and forth because of my on and off again relationship with this Christian God. So I was like, I don't want to disappoint God, but also I feel really drawn to this. And like, if this is the way that I'm created, then why would I be fighting the way that I'm actually created to exist in the world? Once I got divorced and I left the church, it was like, well, I have nothing else holding me back. Now I can actually like pursue the things that I feel really comfortable with, because I was doing sex work. I've been doing sex work since I was about 18. So off and on. But like I said, I was like going back and forth with my God at the time. And so, it was just like a chance for me to start over again and start on my own terms and without the guilt and without the shame. It was just really great to like come back and be like, yeah, let's go. Because I got married really early. So I started sex work really early, then stopped once I got married because I thought that's what you're supposed to do. And then once I got divorced, I was like, oh, it's on, like, let's go. And I had a friend, invite me to be in a burlesque show. And it was, Dr. Ginger Snaps, which is like the matriarch of Seattle Black Burlesque. If you don't know them, look them up. And I was a part of their shows and I loved it. And once I started burlesque, I got introduced to a very different set of communities. And I was like, oh, this makes a lot more sense. Like I was wondering where my people was. Here my people are, and so I, through burlesque, it kind of continued to open the door into all these other things. And I realized that there was a very, very big hole in the area of sexuality and sex education for Black women in particular, for Black femmes, and especially for Black and brown femmes who were raised in any kind of religious, serious, really restrictive religious upbringing. Yeah. And so it was kind of like, it kind of just fell in my lap. I couldn't turn away because I was basically serving myself. I was serving my own community. I was doing my own healing work, and then was like, let me tell y'all about what I'm learning, because this is insane. Did you know that your body could do this? Did you know that it's not bad to have sex on your period and that actually you have some of the most mind-blowing orgasms on your cycle? Like, I didn't know any of this stuff, and I had to I was like, I gotta spread the good news. Like,
here to spread the good news.
Yeah, I'm here to spread the gospel. That's really how I got started. Was just seeing that there was a need that needed to be filled, and I was like, let's go. I realized that like so many Black and brown folks were dying from a lack of education around sex and sexuality, because all we've been taught is like, keep it a secret, hide it. And you all know whenever we do stuff in shame, we're not actually doing it right? Because when you do stuff in shame, you don't want to actually plan, because then it would be like, oh, you're planning to sin, right? You can't do that. So you usually don't have the condoms, you usually don't have the plan B, you usually don't have the spermicide, or whatever it is that you need, right? So I just was like, we're dying for no reason when we could just be like, hey, actually, whatever you're doing, whoever you're serving, you can still be safe. Absolutely. You can still learn more about your body and how things work and how things spread and how things, just move and work and go. And like, I feel like there was just so much, especially like, I mean, even outside of religion, if you're just thinking about school sexual education, it was terrible.
Terrible.
You don't know how anything works. You don't know what anything means. Don't even get me started on like the ideas of consent and
no pleasure. No pleasure.
No pleasure anywhere. No pleasure anywhere. No varying sexualities anywhere. No nothing. Like, it was just a mess. No varying genders. No nothing. I feel like that's how I got started. I was just answering the call. Like it just kind of just started happening, and I couldn't turn away because there were so many people coming to me like, hey, I haven't left yet, but I want to know more about what you're doing.
Absolutely.
You know, and the doors just continue to open and open and open, and then here we are. Now we've got, you know, I'm doing like full-time professional dominance work, and I like to call it like encouraging dominance work, you know. Really, I'm a really like sensitive and loving and nurturing dominant goddess with, you know, with a kick of sadism. So like, full-time dominance work, full-time goddess worship work. I do sexual healing through movement workshops, and I do, you know, Kink Social Club, which is an all POC kink event. So I kind of just started like moving everything. I was like, this needs to happen. I was like, well, why don't I just make it happen? I'm not seeing this, so why don't I create it, right? It's like, be the change you want to see in the world. So I literally just took that and ran with it. And I'm like, this is the change I want to see. So I'm going to create it. Why are we not having more conversations about this? You know, like BDSM and fetish and kink and like all these things in Seattle, if you were to look it up, you'd think it was a white thing, which is so not true, right? But if you looked it up in Seattle, that's what it would look like, right? So I was like, let's change that shit. Let's do something different about that. And, you know, like I've had Pucks come and like educate the folks on all the things. They did a wonderful flogging demonstration. Like, oh my gosh.
I got pickup play from that.
Woo, you did. With the pretty brown thing, too.
I was going to leave. I was trying to leave this party. I did my little teaching thing. I'm like, I'm going to go. I started packing up, and this really beautiful black phone came up to me, and she's like, excuse me, are you heading out for the evening? And I'm like, I am.
Like, now you're asking.
And she's like, oh, it's too bad to hear that. I was wondering if you would, you know, hit me a little bit. And I'm like, God damn it.
You're like, well, since you asked so nicely.
Pretty brown eyes. Like, that's it. I'm a
You
sucker. I'm a sucker for it.
You gotta go for it. Like,
sucker for it every time. Yeah, I like what you said about answering the call. I feel like that is a reoccurring theme in my life also.
Yes. It definitely is.
Right? Like, just
I see you do it all the time.
Right? Just no one else is gonna do it. Okay. That's me.
Right.
And I know that you talk about a lot about like showing up for yourself and showing up for others, which I feel is in the same track of like just answering the call.
Yes. We talk about that.
All
You
the
and I
time.
talk about showing up.
All
What
the
does that look
time.
like? What does it look like to integrity you're talking about?
Yes.
How do your values align with like your actions? How do your values align with behavior?
Yeah.
You were and you are, right? You both are people who are, you saw what wasn't there and you made it happen.
Period.
You did your healing, and that's that education that we started from this conversation started, right? Like, you don't see something, so you make it happen.
Absolutely.
You see a need and then you teach.
Yeah.
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 It's brilliant.
That's exactly it.
I mean, that's what happened when we met at the SAR, right?
Yeah.
Like with Alina, I was like, I've got to know them. I've got to know Kia. This is someone I like, we need each other in our lives. And then we get to do cool things like this, right?
We really
Where
do.
we're educating in the gaps that
Fill in
human
the gaps.
beings have in this world because of the systems that are shitty.
Absolutely. Because there are so many gaps.
Yeah, there's so many gaps.
There's so many gaps.
Yeah.
I feel like I would have personally come out as non-binary probably a lot sooner if there was more information.
Yes.
I think I would have been more honest about like my attraction to women and to femme folks a lot sooner. It was I mean, I was about 9 years old when I realized that I thought women were attractive. I tell this story quite a bit, but I was watching Batman Returns.
I love this story.
Batman
Yeah,
Returns,
that's a good one.
and specifically when Michelle Pfeiffer shows up like in the full suit, right? And she goes meow, and you see like the starkness of the red lipstick and the black latex. And I remember just being like, I have a fever in my vagina. I don't know what that's about. Don't know what that's about.
so
And I remember telling my mom, I'm like, I think that she's pretty. And my mom's like, oh yeah, she's pretty. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. But I knew, even then, I knew that there was something shameful about that concept. And I held on for it for a really long time. And actually I was talking to one of my partners the other night about the first like girl in like real life in person that I had a crush on, and I was in 5th grade. She was a redhead with freckles, and I just knew that she was pretty. I was just like, she's very pretty, and I want to hang out with her all the time. And I still think about the baked spaghetti her mom made the one night I stayed over. I think about that all the time.
That's what got you.
Right? That baked spaghetti really sealed the deal. But like, I knew at an early age that like that was shameful without people telling me that it was shameful.
Sure.
That was very shameful. And then even as I got older with male partners, I knew that was something that I probably should keep to myself also. I felt like I couldn't tell my male partners that I liked women because I'm like, I want to explore that,
Which
not
is
with
terrible.
you.
Sure.
I don't want
That's
you
yours
there.
and your hula
Yeah,
hoop. Right.
I don't want you
For
involved
sure.
in that. I would
Right.
like to experience that on my own. And you know, most men folk, when you're like, I like women, they're like, so I get a threesome? I get a threesome?
Yeah.
Birthday
First of
threesomes.
all, and most of the men who say that cannot afford it.
No,
Okay?
can't afford a threesome.
Okay?
In so many different ways,
Like,
cannot afford it.
I mean in all the ways they cannot afford it.
And we were talking one penis policy last week
Yes,
we were.
on our podcast. So yeah,
Cannot afford it, and
absolutely.
also would not have the stamina or the skill set that is required, and the emotional intelligence that is required for group and other sex.
And that's
Yeah.
like, it's about the expansion, right?
Yes.
How do is like the idea of sexual debut versus virginity, right? The virginity meaning something's taken away. Sexual debut, here I am.
Yes.
Here is this experience I'm having. It's new and it's inviting. It's the same thing with coming out. We have 3 queer like humans on the stage tonight, right? And we're talking about this on a podcast on intersectionality after a kick-ass mother effing burlesque show
Yes.
that you put on.
Yes.
It was brilliant.
It was brilliant.
Yeah, it was
Thank you.
brilliant.
It was brilliant. It was
I
good.
mean, and just across the board variety of like incredible humans.
And
Yeah.
it's a representation of different bodies. It's a very diverse
Styles.
cast, diverse styles, gender and sexuality represented. It's really dope.
I saw that. Was it your birthday last year? That's what the last time I saw you was.
That
You
was
were
the last time?
yeah. The last time I saw you in real life was that you performed, and it was kick ass, and your mom was there.
Yes.
And it was awesome. Yeah.
My mom
Wow.
was always representing
Yeah.
in the audience.
I
That was
trying
last
to
year.
see.
That was last
last
August.
year. Yes.
Yeah, I performed in that show too.
You did. I brought you flowers.
You did. Those were calla lilies. They were dope. I love calla lilies.
I love it.
That was such a good show.
It was. Yeah.
So some of you listening may not know this. I think very few of you, but some of you may not know this. Miss Briq House produces the only all monthly POC burlesque review here in Seattle.
Yes, I co-produce it with my very, very, very good friend Sin De La Rosa, and it's at Theater Off Jackson, and it is going to be again one day soon, the
Yes.
second Sunday of every month. And yeah, it's life changing, and
really
also was also me feeling a need. Like when I started burlesque, I want to give a shout out to Center St. Burlesque, who was the troupe that I started with. I sweetheart or kittened or whatever the word was back then for them for years. And back then, kittening and sweethearting was very different, y'all. This kittening that folks get to do now, I'm like, well, this is nice. This is so plush and wonderful. Y'all have no idea.
What was it like? Will
It
you
was
tell us?
just, well, back then, spaces weren't necessarily set up for burlesque. So we had to create the scenery. Like we had to like redo a whole venue and like actually hang curtains and actually like rig lighting and like, you know, like signage and chairs and it just was very different. Barely got paid anything. Like, you know, you had to work long hours, barely any pay. You had to move a whole bunch of stuff. You had to have a lot of physical abilities. It was just very different, but it's what made me. Like I know how to do as much as I know how to do because I had to do so much as a stagehand. So that is how I got the ideas for how to produce a really good show because I had to like do the shit from beginning to end. And I knew then that I was going to be different and create something different because I was the only sweetheart or kitten that during tip time, you know, they would like kind of like walk around with their bucket, but everybody would be all shy. But I'm like, you know, straddling folks, sitting in people's laps. I'm like, so. What's the biggest bill you got in your wallet? Yeah. I love it. Okay, I want you to put it right here. Like, you know, like I'm just like, what's up?
You Leo'd it.
Yeah, you know. So I'm like, I was like, oh yeah. And back then, burlesque was not, you know, sit down, touch people, all that. Like that was not happening. So, and I was like, no, that's what I want though. So yeah, I just knew that I was going to create something different. I was like, no, y'all are getting all of the goods. Y'all need to pay up. Y'all need to be tipping. Like, this is unacceptable, you know? So yeah, that's
created it.
That's how it was.
You made it happen.
Yeah, I was like, we need more spaces for people like me, because whenever I was in a show, most of the time I was the only person there that was a person of color, but I was also the darkest person there. I was also the largest person there. You know, the list goes on. I was also the only darkest, largest person there with natural hair, you know, because that was also a thing. It was just unheard of and a lot really unseen in this Seattle scene for Black women or women of color to wear their hair in their natural state as they're doing burlesque. So yeah, it was just very different what I was offering. And every time there was a Black feminine human in the audience, they would like come up to me, talking to me, crying, exclaiming like how much they needed to see me up there because it just was not happening. Yeah. So that's when I was like, oh, that's it.
This is it.
Shook.
Here we are.
We're go.
Yeah.
We're go.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like I was like, damn, I need to do this thing. And then Boom Boom LaRue, which is like, oh, legend, Seattle burlesque legend, fucking international burlesque legend, Boom Boom LaRue, the sound of freedom, Puerto Rican princess. Boom Boom LaRue at the time was the booking manager at the Can, which is a very tiny venue in downtown Seattle. And Boom Boom was like, hey, who wants to produce a show at the Can? And I was like, I do.
Yeah.
And I just sent her my idea, and I was like, there will be no white people at any part of the show. Like, it will be from top to bottom, it will be only people of color. And like, do you think that the venue will be cool with that? And she was like, hell yeah. Let's go. Both shows sold out. Was like insane. Lines down the street, like people were so ready for it. And it's so great because the people who were in that show, that original first show, are still with me today. Like, we still work together. We still are all like creating in some form or fashion, even if it's not burlesque. Like, yeah, and I've been, you know, on the scene for over 10 years. So, yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah, a lot has changed. A lot has changed, but yeah, it's good.
And you got to not only pave the way, but like before we started this, we were talking about some new projects that you've got coming up and some like creative stuff. And I just want to like, it's so representation matters.
It
like
does.
In the sex ed that I do, looking for images, they're all white bodies.
Yes.
They're all white bodies, and the vulvas all look the same.
What is that?
And I'm like,
what is
right,
up with the
exactly.
vulva pictures? I don't know if anybody else is. First of all, I do know. I see these vulva pictures and I'm like, sometimes it's like a lot of vulvas, and I'm like, but where's mine?
Yeah, yeah.
Where's mine?
Right.
Like,
exactly. So part of the thing I'm thinking about is like finding local artists who and well, anyway, we can talk offline about this.
Yes.
Finding local artists because we need representation.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. We're gonna get a list going.
Do a vulva
but
project.
representation matters. We need to see variety in bodies, variety in vulvas.
Yes.
Like diversity. It needs to happen.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's time. It is time. This has changed.
Beyond time.
Yeah.
And I think that like,
you're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're right. So it's beyond time to do it.
Beyond time.
And it's really, really important. And like you said, representation matters. The first time, so I started burlesque 3 years ago. I think my anniversary was last month. And right. Yeah. And from the moment I graduated, people were like, you need to come to Sugar Shack. And I'm like, ooh, it's a Sunday. It's a Sunday. And Sundays are typically days I have my son. So it's like, I don't know if I could be able to make it. And people just really are like, you need to go. You need to go. And so I went, I think it was in November. I went, and it changed my life. I actually met Isabella Van Gool at that show. She performed, and that was the first time I saw a Black woman perform live burlesque. And it changed my life. And then that same night, Briq performed too, and that was huge because I was just like, oh, so they let other big black girls on stage too. Yes, nice. Yes. I feel so good about this. I feel good about my choice. And I remember coming over to talk to you afterwards, and you're like, oh my God, give me a hug. I've heard of you. And I'm like, oh man, okay, great. And so we hugged, and I proceeded to have like the best 30 days of my entire life. Seriously, every single raffle I entered, I won. You couldn't tell me shit. Nobody could say nothing to me.
See? Right? Briq is magic.
Briq is literally magic.
Briq is magic.
Briq is magic.
Yeah.
And I try to tell folks that all the time, that like there is something to a Briq House hug.
I just got one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
You put so much of yourself into that hug and so much love, and it's like a very intense moment of intimacy. And like that's something that I talk about a lot with like, and like even if you're just randomly hooking up with someone. I am a big fan of intention.
Yes.
And I'm like,
exactly.
like in that moment, make it the best thing ever.
Exactly. That's it.
Energy.
That's it.
It does. Energy does flow.
It does.
Right.
And so that's something that I think about is just like the intention that you put into the hugs that you give folks. It's this like intense moment of intimacy, and you get to carry that with you and have that feeling. And it's something that like, when I do pickup play, which pickup play in BDSM or kink is when you don't really have plans arranged with someone and you meet like at an event and you decide to play at the event. So you negotiate there. My goal as a top in that situation is to give you this intense moment of intimacy that like you kind of walk away leaving like, man, that same feeling like if you ran away to Paris and you like fucked someone for a full weekend that you didn't know and you just like look back at it fondly 30 years later like, wow, that was magical.
That was so great.
Yeah, like that's the kind of moment of intimacy I aim for in these small slivers of pickup play with folks.
I'm listening. I'm just like
Right?
pulling my
No, that's good. No, but I think that's really important is the intention behind it. But yeah, best hugs.
I
Solid hugs.
wonder this like idea. We've got a couple like dominants on the stage too.
Yes.
What does dominance mean to each of you? I'm curious. If you're open to sharing about it, what does it mean? Yeah. What does dominance mean?
She's like, yes, it means this.
It means this.
It means all of this.
Me sitting down. Right.
This here. Do you want to go?
Dominance for me means rest. For once in my life as a black woman, I get rest when I am in my professional dominant space. It is rest. It is rest. It is control. It is safety. It is curation of a spiritual and sacred space with me and someone else. It is conjuring. It is magic. It is intimate. It is beautiful. It is life-changing. It is boundary pushing in a positive and consensual way. It is a catalyst for breakthrough emotionally, physically, sexually. It's healing. It's all those things when I think about it. Yeah.
I mean, dominance for me is it allows me to be my true self unapologetically. I feel like as someone that has been socialized as a black woman for most of my life, that they want you to be strong, but you can't be too strong. And they want you to be smart, but you can't be too smart. And they want you to be bold, but you can't be too bold. And so there's all this too much, but not enough. And dominance for me is I am past enough. I am me. I am beyond that. And it gives me, I wouldn't say it gives me permission. It just allows me to be who I am without having to make apologies for it, and be able to actually own the fact that I really do, truly, at my core, love getting my way. Like,
Period.
I love it. I love everything about getting my way. It feels so good to get your way, and
Especially
being,
when it's not a regular thing.
it's not a regular thing, right? And you get to, and like being able to speak that truth without feeling any twinge of guilt when you say it is huge to me.
And getting paid for it.
Yeah.
It's a delight. Absolute delight.
It sounds like an
Pay
like
me
an
for a good time.
embodiment.
It is.
Like an embodiment when each of you talk about it. Like an embodiment of this is I'm in my power. Like I'm in that integrity. I'm like in my like core sense of self. That's what I
Yes.
heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard.
Absolutely. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it truly is the freedom to take off these shackles and these labels that are put on you, these things that are meant to hold you back. Because it is always seen as a negative for women to be in control.
especially larger bodied Black women.
Because we should be happy with anything that we get.
Yep.
Absolutely, we should be happy with anything that we get. And it's like, nope.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want the scraps.
Yeah.
Like I don't want scraps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want the best cuts.
Because you
Always.
deserve.
Yeah.
Because we deserve.
Absolutely.
You do.
I don't want scraps. And it's one of those things where I'm very picky about, you know, the submissives I take on and things like that. Like
Intentional.
I'm very intentional because it's there's a lot of work to weed through who is going to actually show up.
Woo, child.
And showing up, and we know about like this showing up
Yes.
thing, right? It's really important. Who is actually going to show up?
Who?
Well, you've said
And
to
how?
me before, you don't do anti-racism work with your partners.
Nope.
That is a line, right? You've set that line, and that's and I wonder if part of it is because that is up to them to show up in that way
Yes.
to get to be in partnership with you.
Yes.
I don't want to assume.
No, it's true. I you know, I've born and raised here in the Seattle area, and poly in Seattle especially is really, really white. Polyamory here in Seattle is extremely white. And currently all of my partners are white. And I tell folks that my partners are the pick of the litter because I just don't have the spoons or the bandwidth at all to do that emotional labor. So they have to do that work already on their own because it's soul crushing. It's really soul crushing to wake up one day and realize that someone that you've given so much of yourself to would gladly dehumanize you if it meant that they get to keep their power and their privilege.
Yes.
It's a horrifying feeling. And that's I think it's been one of the most interesting things is reading you know, blogs and things from Black women who are married to white men right now who are, the realization is hitting them that it doesn't matter how much this person says that they love them, that they don't see anything wrong with the system.
No.
And how do you, I don't think there's enough marriage counseling in the world to fix that.
child.
Well, that's about a person not seeing there's some major issues happening, and we have to do it within our hula hoop to do that work and show up differently. So how do you fix that? That's like that lack of integrity, right? Behavior not aligning with values.
Yeah.
Or behavior actually aligning with just shitty values.
Shitty values.
Right? So yeah. Wow.
It's intense.
That's painful.
It's really
That's
it's
painful.
hard, and I it's one of those things that I read these articles quite a bit because I want to bear witness to this for these women that are going through this, and it's especially heartbreaking when they have children.
Yeah.
Right? You know, because what are we teaching our children?
Passing it down.
Let me share a piece. I didn't mean to come across as judgmental about that. I think there is work to be done in relationship therapy around that because I do it.
Yeah.
As a therapist, I do it, but I'm white. And so taking that on as like a white therapist who does my own anti-racism work, and like I just want to have said, this shit is for the rest of my life, right? This is not okay, check the box. Okay, check the next box, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. This is for the rest of my life. So if you find the right provider, and we are out there, there are folks, and you can hit me up, and
Find
you
the right
can do
providers.
this work. You absolutely can do this work. So my intention here is to just share that I do believe in the power of healing. We just have to want it. The motivation has to come, and then we have to then energize. You talked about rest, energize ourselves in certain ways so that we get to show up the next day, tomorrow, and do the same thing again, and the
Yes.
same thing again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So thank you for letting me share that
Of
piece.
course.
I just
No,
wanted to make sure.
Briq and I had a conversation, gosh, I think it was about a month ago. And in this conversation, Briq's like, I've been resting.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've been resting.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
And that's that.
that's good. And I'm like, I feel
And
you.
that's that.
And then she's like, I'll let you know when I'm done resting. And you did. You came out swinging that one time. And then and that made me think about the value of rest.
But I was able to come out swinging because
you've been
I
resting.
sat my ass down.
Yeah. And rest it's important. It's so important. I just had a big move last month. God, I can't believe it. I know you moved. I'm so excited for you. And like my community really showed up for me in my move. But
as they should.
Right. But my partners really showed up for me in my move. It's really dope. So I was able to have my polycule. And so polycule, for those of you who may not be familiar with that term, that is, it's how your romantic relationships connect. And that can include your, so your paramour, that's the person that you're dating or seeing. And then the person that they're seeing, it would be your metamour. And so your polycule it legit looks like molecules, right? When you look at it, it can be really cool, right?
It's a wonderful thing.
It's really cool. And my polycule showed up. I had metas helping out. I had, it was really, really amazing to have folks kind of show up for you in that way so that I could rest. So I could rest.
This rest piece keeps showing up in our conversation too. So I hear rest in being a dom, right? And dominance. What else feels good about resting for you?
Just recharging those batteries, right?
Right.
I like to rest is. Rest
what
is
does it
good.
look like?
Rest for me, what does that look like? I'm a pillow princess.
Oh,
right?
I love that.
Right?
Me too.
Right?
Pillow
Princess.
When you rest, you're a pillow princess.
I'm a pillow princess.
Yes.
I read this amazing article about pillow princesses recently about how this phrase is used as a kind of as a derogatory term for folks. And this article was just like, nah. They're like, some people in this world truly love to give, and
it's a blessing to those who love
to give. And so it's like pillow princesses are people that really just like to sit back and enjoy the sensation and like to be able to give over that control or that power.
It's pleasure for them,
right? It is their pleasure, right?
Absolutely.
Or at the very least be like, I asked you to do X and X is happening, and I don't have to think anything more about it because X is now happening. And I wear the badge of pillow princess proudly.
I love it.
Proudly, and that is rest for me, because I don't want to touch your dick right now. I don't want to have anything to do with that right now at all.
Maybe it's like pillow
or ever.
princess with an X for you.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm okay with being called a princess. I'm really weird about some of my my gender things, but mostly because I don't want pillow princess to have a negative connotation for anyone, because it's so dope. And I feel like more dominance should take the power of pillow princess for themselves, right? I need a queen chair for my pillow princessing. That's what I need in my life.
How about for you?
Right.
What does that look like for you?
Rest looks like for me allowing people to help me because I am so independent and I am so headstrong and determined, and I'm like, you know how it is. You're just like, if I want it done right, I'm doing my goddamn self. That's just what it is. So allowing other people to say, hey, I got this for you.
It's hard.
So, that can be sexually or in any of the other ways. But rest looks like for me saying, you know what? I know that logically I'm thinking I could do this myself. This is, whatever. But thinking about it in the way of but how much rest is that going to cost me? How much peace is that going to cost me? How much discomfort or physical labor or emotional labor is that going to cost me? And could that actually be delegated elsewhere with folks who have already shown up and said that they want to support? They've proven that they can support. They've proven that they can actually do the thing that they're offering to do. Because that's another thing, right? As a person who is very dominant and very powerful, everyone thinks they want to serve you.
Yes.
But everyone is not actually in a position to do so.
They're not in the position or capable.
Yep, exactly. So then it becomes I'm having to take care of what I actually gave you to do because you can't actually do it. And that's more work for me because then I'm having to coddle you and deal with this. I don't have time for that. Yeah. So rest for me is relying on folks who have already shown up as real and available and ready to do the work and just allowing them to do it and trusting them to do it right. And also trusting that it's not going to be done exactly the same way as I would do it, but it's still going to be done well enough for me to rest.
Yes. So it's giving us some of that control, right?
Yeah.
Trust and control, right?
Trust is the way this is how I think of it, is this person's going to show up in a way that I predict them to. Like this person, based on their past, based on what I see them doing, they're going to show up in this particular way. And that it hurts when it is broken.
Yes.
Woo! But what a beautiful experience in relationship when that's when that continues, right? When that's built and created, and that moment when you're like, okay, like this is someone who's going to show up in this way to allow me to rest and feel peace. Right. Yeah.
And I think it requires a lot of honesty, right? Because it requires honesty on my end to be for real honest about what I need and how much I don't need to be the captain of this particular ship, right? It needs me being honest about that, and then also folks being honest about their capacity in order to fully complete the thing,
100%.
right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so, like I said, that can be sexually, that can be in so many ways. And I think also, especially for white folks who are like, oh my God, they're so drawn to Black dominance. They so want to serve Black dominance. And like, a way that you serve me is not always going to be in a really sexy, kinky way that you're desiring. Because let's be real, you see me, even if you don't think that you're thinking that, in your mind, most white folks, when they see a larger body Black woman, are thinking mammy, right? They're thinking, oh my God, mammy, I want to serve you. I want to suck on your breast, right? I want to be coddled by you. I want to be nurtured by you, right? So for me, actual rest is not me having to do any of my usual dungeon dominance work with a white sub, but it's a white sub being like, yo, here are things that I did to make Black femmes' lives easier, including your own. I've got the homework that you gave me. Here's a few things that I did.
Showing up.
You know, show up, show me what you did, and continue to do the work. Come up with your own ideas.
Absolutely.
And then let me know what they are. And I'll be like, oh yeah, actually, that does sound like a great idea. Keep going with that. Or actually, let's tweak that a little bit. You were in the right zone, but you kind of fucked it up with the other shit. So, you know, but like rest for me is somebody doing some of their own work and coming to me and saying, here are the things I've already done to show that I am in a place where I do want to serve you, or I do want to assist, or I do want to volunteer, or I do want to whatever. That to me is...
That's pretty sexy.
And folks doing that without needing validation.
Yeah.
Yes.
Woo! Because also, I want to rest.
Right.
Yeah.
I want to rest. Me looking at whatever you sent me, or me acknowledging your existence, is me giving you validation.
Yes.
Right? Because you came to me.
Absolutely.
So, but I don't want to have to be like, oh yeah, like no, I'm not going to tell you you're not racist. I'm not going to tell you you're not a bigot. Like, no, I'm not doing none of that.
Right.
I mean, I can, but that's going to be another fee, right? Because I do have on my website, MissBriqHouse.com, there are kink-based anti-racism trainings that I offer. So it's like, yeah, I'm not doing anything. I tell people all the time, I do not talk to white men for free, period. That is another way that I rest.
Yeah.
I have created a life in which I don't have to do so.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful. I should have done it sooner. I'm like, why didn't I do this before? But yeah, that to me is rest.
Right.
Yeah.
Creating a life in which I do not have to entertain these things that you need,
Yeah.
because it's not about you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about me. The whole world is about you.
Yeah.
So that is another way I create rest.
Yeah. Your world's about you. It's
My
gotta
world
be.
is about me. Oh,
Yeah, and-
another way I create rest, and I just want to say this one more thing.
Please do.
For polyamorous folks, for single folks, for everybody. I live by myself intentionally. I do not live with romantic partners. I do not live with friends. I do not live with pets. I do not live with anything that would require me to take care of it, because it is my responsibility to take care of me when I am at home. It is my sanctuary. It is my goddess dwelling. And there is no room for anyone else there, because I am so busy taking care of me. And I would love for folks to start normalizing different living arrangements. Everybody doesn't need that, right? Everybody doesn't need that. But for me, I personally have to have that, or else I will never take care of myself, because I'll be so busy taking care of all these other things.
Yeah.
So, yes, if you have ever thought about it, if you've thought, man, I really love my spouse, but it'd be really cool if I had my own room, or my own like downstairs, or my own house, or my own, you're not crazy, you're not wrong. It would be really cool, and you should get it.
Yeah. I love
Go
that.
for it, boo.
I love that.
Go for it.
That
We
has
do
to
not
be.
have to continue doing things the same way just because other people have done it that way. A lot of our relationships could really actually thrive if we just stopped living together. And I know that that also comes from a place of privilege, right?
Yeah.
Thanks to sex work, I am able to live by myself. I'm going to say that again. Thanks to sex work, I am able to afford to live by myself. Sex work can be a key to freedom to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So we should get talking about that at some point. But I acknowledge my privilege and the fact that I have worked like enough that I can do that. And, you know, and there's folks who work really hard and still can't do that because the system is fucked, right?
Yeah.
But if you can, or if somebody can afford to help you do it, go for it. Because there is so much freedom in not having to worry about someone else whenever you come through the door.
Yeah.
And then all you have to do is deal with you and your shit.
It's how you restore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So that is
absolutely.
another way I rest, is that I refuse to live with anyone.
It's beautiful.
I just don't do it. I don't do it. And my mental health in particular has been so much better ever since I've decided to live solo. And I've lived solo for ever since my divorce, actually, really. I think I lived with like one other partner, and that was a hot mess. Yeah. I was like, never again. Never again. But yeah, it's powerful. It's beautiful. I think more folks should try it. You don't have to live with people just because you love them. Rest.
Rest.
Give yourself a chance to rest. Also, if you live with people, it's okay to tell them to go away.
Yeah.
It's okay to be like, hey, I want this house to myself for the weekend. Can you go to your mama's house, your brother's house? I don't care where you go. Just go away from here.
Yeah.
Like, be safe and go away from here.
Totally.
Like,
Yeah.
it's okay to advocate for yourself in your space. And you can say, hey, I need our space to just be my space for just 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever it is. It's okay to schedule you time. I think a lot of times, especially feminine folks, are taught that our time is not really our time, right?
Yeah.
It's like, we've got to take care of the house. We've got to do this. We've got to take care of the kids. We got to take care of the blah, blah, blah. And it's so funny because no one else has those expectations of other gendered folks. But anyway, well, that's a whole nother conversation. But it's like, we never really know. We do it to ourselves. We never really think that our time is our time. So it's okay to say, I'm going to create some fucking time.
Yeah.
I don't care what's going on. If nobody is dead or dying, I have to tell my family this, because even though I live with myself and family, still like, please help us with everything. I'm like, no. If nobody is dead or dying, for these 24 hours, leave me the fuck alone. Period. I don't care what it is. And then actually, when I have the 24 hours, I am so much nicer to be around.
Yeah.
I can be so much, I can be a better sister, brother, all the things.
You're energized.
Yeah.
I'm energized.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I'm energized. I don't even, I do that with my subs too. I'm like, yo, don't ask me for anything. Goddess is off. Goddess is off. And if you want to talk to me, that'll be $500. Like, period. Like, do not bother me. Like, but yes, rest. Rest.
How do you rest? Because I know that you're
how
a
do you
busy
rest?
human.
You're
I
listening to everybody all the time. You're processing all this shit. You're like, yeah, how do you rest?
Well, there's certain things I don't have access to that we used to have access to before COVID, to restore and rest. And honestly, I am really intentional about who I choose in around me. Like, especially like this year, I'm just really intentional. I ask for help these days. One of my friends is watching this, and that's a person I asked for help earlier. I'm leaning into community, leaning into people, and I'm recognizing, and I heard this from both of you actually tonight too, who I hang out with who's restorative, and who I hang out with who takes my energy. And the folks who are taking my energy, I'm like, I'm not doing this anymore. And part of it too, like we talked a little bit about, you brought up privilege of living solo. I'm in a place in my life where I do have privilege, where I can pick and choose who I hang out with. And that is how I how I rest.
That's how you rest.
Yeah. Oh, and I have my husband, he cooks. He like brings me coffee in the morning, and he's an introvert, as he should, right? And I don't do that for myself. I'm not shitting on myself, but like, thank you for that.
Yes.
I appreciate that. You deserve great things. You deserve great things. I choose for myself. I'm like, not doing that shit right now. Whatever. But anyway, thank you. I take that and thank you. And I like, he's a person who gets that I'm an introvert and I need to recharge, and I need my Mia time. He respects it. And I pick other partners who do the same. I don't pick partners who need me. And the partners I've had in, I don't know, I don't do that for myself, but like, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And for myself, I'm like, not doing that shit right now. Whatever. But anyway, thank you. I take that and thank you. And I pick other partners who do the same. I don't pick partners in non-monogamy and kinky, I have that boundary that I do not therapize you.
Woo,
I'm
yes.
never going to therapize you.
Period.
Because that's work. And I love my job. And I want to love my job for the rest of my life.
Yes.
And I want to help
Yes.
other people love being a therapist because it's so fucking incredible. And I don't want to do it at home.
No.
And I don't want to do it with my friends. And I don't want to do it in like
drives
my
your pussy
communities.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Working
Right.
for
It's
free
just
drives your
it's
pussy.
yeah. So that's how I do my rest. Yeah.
Like,
It's
that's
true.
just what it is.
Intentional about who I hang with and who I spend my time with and ask for help.
I think that's like, it's really insightful, and like it's really important, like to actually recognize the people that you surround yourself with, who builds you up.
Yeah.
One of the things I like to talk about, like anyone who approaches me and they're like, I want to serve you, blah 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 blah. I'm like, can you buy me more time? How can you being in my life actually buy me time?
I love it.
Because time is the one resource that we have that is not renewable, right? It's the most valuable thing we have. The most valuable thing that we have. And because it just doesn't renew, right?
We only have this one life.
Yeah.
This one.
Right. One.
And I am just so grateful to be on a stage with you two. Right? This is magic.
Right?
Yeah.
It is such magic.
And we've got great work to do.
It's absolutely magic.
How are we doing on time?
I think we're doing good. Let me
Are we?
double check. I'm looking.
It was like,
We're talking. No, we're all good.
We're good?
We've also got one pussy, y'all. So
Yeah.
for those folks who are listening and you're thinking about trying some stuff, do it. You only got one.
Absolutely.
one
You only
life,
got
one pussy. Oh my
one.
gosh, I love that.
Or whatever your
It's
preferred
true.
name for your genitalia
Bits,
is.
the bits,
You
yeah.
only got
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
You only got one goodie box. I like to call it a goodie box. I feel like it's gender neutral, right? Like, or well, I guess we got two down there, but
Yeah.
you got two goodie boxes. You only get two. Just
Life's too short for
yeah,
that.
explore at your own pace, but explore. There's so many things. Like even when we were talking earlier, and I was like, oh yeah, period sex. Like I kept myself from that for so long because my religious upbringing taught me that it was bad and it was wrong and it was gross, and like I was so mad at myself for missing those orgasms. I was like, how dare I deny myself of these wonderful moon cycle orgasms because of what, guilt and shame from some random book? Like, come on.
Well, it's like
Y'all.
the external pressures and the external, those stories, those narratives
Yes.
that like fucked us all up. We get to undo some of that stuff, right? We get to pull those weeds out and say, actually, I'm going to learn my body. I'm going to learn what pleasure looks like and feels like and sounds like to me, because everybody's body is different and
Fucking different.
pleasure's going to feel and pain, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's going to feel different. So I love that you brought that up, right? As eroticism, as like this underlying topic we have of like,
Yeah.
how do you find your unique eroticism and what does that
Yes.
look like?
Yes.
Because having period sex, that's knowing your body, finding it out, right? Through some like
Yes.
fun times. It sounds like a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
fun times.
Oh, yeah.
And this is what works for you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the orgasms are different depending on what part of the cycle you're in, because like your hormones are shifting, everything is like moving about. Y'all, I'm just saying.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Here for that.
We talked about, were you going to say, where was I interrupt you?
No,
Okay.
you're good.
One time you and I were having a conversation about squirting and somebody shamed you. And I remember, I think I read it somewhere, you were texting or something. And I felt this like visceral like anger towards whoever that was, because living in this world that we live, I'll say the US, right, is shaming enough that like to shame somebody about the way that your beautiful body works is it just, I felt it viscerally. So I don't know who it is, but I hope that they need to do some work around
some
that
work.
because that is how your body feels
Yeah.
pleasure
Yes.
and expresses it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I was about 19. And this guy was just like, "Don't pee in my bed," and I'm like, and it made me panic, right?
You're
And
like,
so
you don't even understand how this works.
right?
This
And
is
so
not.
I actually held off from squirting for like almost 2 years. Like every time I felt that feeling, I was like, no, clamp that back in there. You know, and now you really can't. It's like, was it Lay's potato chips? Once you pop, you can't stop. That's what happens. You just go. Like, keep me hydrated. You know those beer hats, right? Just put 2 water bottles in there and keep me hydrated.
He's got like Gatorade.
Look, Look, it's my favorite.
I love it.
I don't like sheets hate me, but like everything else is great.
Oh no! All you need is a waterproof mattress cover.
I have
Get more than one, so I just switch them out.
That's smart.
Yeah, get more than one mattress. So waterproof mattress covers. They're also really good for like keeping bed bugs away and stuff like that, because usually the waterproof ones are like hypoallergenic, anti-bed bug, blah blah blah. So they're just like great hygienic things to have. But yeah, I keep multiple waterproof mattress covers that I have underneath my sheets at all times, so that I don't ruin them, because I was like ruining mattresses.
I love that.
Yeah, I have a king size, California king mattress, because that's something that I made a choice a couple years ago that like I wanted a king size bed, but it needed to be a California king.
Yes,
and I remember my husband was just like, but you know that queen is on sale. I'm like, yeah, but that California king is what I want. So
and it's
like,
actually gonna fit me comfortably, and I can do all the things I want to do. Yeah, California king is my goal. I'm at queen right now, but I'm working towards
California king is just, it's delightful, and I'm so glad. And it was just one of those things that like I was like, my bedroom is my sanctuary. I spend a lot of time in my bedroom. A lot of the shows that you may have seen that I have produced have been produced from my bed. I love my bedroom. It's a great place to be. And in my new house, my bedroom's fucking ridiculous. My new house. And honestly, like, it's one of those things where it's like my being as a dominant human being, who I am is what manifested this fucking house. And I'm just I feel really fortunate that my partners were just like, yeah, let's fucking do this shit. Let's go. Let's make it happen. But it was definitely like, it came from this place of where my power is from, right? Where I was just like, I think it's time for us to live together, all of us to live together. I think we need a bigger place. Yeah. Let's start looking. And this particular home, it was just one of those things we walked into, and I'm like, this is mine now. Yes. Like, you know, and I messaged the boys and I said, this is what's happening. And they're like, cool, let's do it.
You deserve.
I'm so happy with it. I'm really happy. It's really fun to be this kinky, polyamorous family in the middle of the fucking suburbs. Yeah. By the way, every day I just wake up every day and I'm just like, they don't even fucking know. They have zero clue. I go out in the backyard and I dance with my silk veils and stuff, and my neighbor just looks over and she's like, oh, okay. Like, let's keep it that way. I don't share no sugar. I don't want to really be friendly like that. I'll wave. Yes. Let us just do what we do over here. You deserve that. Get real high and have a lot of fun in that house. It's
as
nice.
You should.
Yeah. It's rest. Life. Rest. It's definitely rest. And like I said, one of those things is just like, my partners, they give me more time.
Yes. And
that allows me to rest, but it also allows me to show up for myself. It allows me to show up for my child, allows me to show up for things like this. And they see the value in what I do, because it makes me happy. Yes. And when mama's happy, the whole house is happy. Yeah.
Period.
Right?
Everybody's happy.
Everybody's happy. Because I'm more apt to do the fucking thing you like.
Exactly. If I can get real creative when I've got some rest.
Yeah.
I can get real, because I have time to be creative. I'm like, yo, actually, now that I'm feeling a little rested.
Yeah, I might entertain your dick now. I might entertain it. Might think about it. Yeah.
Drain it.
There you go.
I think that's like, it's so beautiful, because we each have different ways of recognizing what restores us. Yeah. And I think that's about like knowing yourself.
Absolutely.
And I keep hearing this tonight too, to know, like, for each of us, and I don't know, you let me know if I'm speaking for you. I don't want to do that, but like, I know who the people are who I like need in my life and who I want in my life, because they don't drain me. And it sounds like it's the same for you too also.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yes,
like
absolutely.
These are people who know themselves. Okay, cool. I can trust them to take care of themselves. So I don't have to take care of them when I don't want to. Right? Because that's a boundary.
Yep.
And then that's you taking care of yourself. So that's that like interdependence is the word that's coming to mind. Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah. And I wanted to encourage you that like Seattle polyamory, although it looks very white, is not white. there are so many other polyamorous people of color, but unfortunately, we just don't always get to all get together, or nobody knows because everybody's just, there's multiple reasons. But I am fortunate enough to have 2 Black partners who are amazing and breathtakingly amazing and like gorgeous and sexy and wonderful and kind and giving and smart and like all of the things. Oh my gosh, they're so great. Like my vagina's downstairs, like going like this. Like, yes, they are. They're so wonderful. Oh my gosh, we love them. But yeah, so my polyamorous journey. So I have a rule with my dating that I do not date people who do not center people of color in their life. So it doesn't matter. Like gender, I'm open. All the things I'm open. But if you do not center people of color in your life, then we don't have anything to vibe on, because that is literally my,
That's your work.
Oh, that's my work,
That's
right?
my work.
And so it's really important for me to have Black love and brown love and like, it's really important to me. And my partners are just like you said, they give me more room to be myself. They don't, because I've had, and I'm sure you've had, all of us actually on the stage probably, because we all are really powerful femmes. We've had people who have tried to dim our light or talk us out of our dreams, or, just the variation of things that happen when you know who you are and you're powerful and you're in who you are, and folks don't always feel comfortable with that. Sometimes folks are insecure or whatever. And so I have really had my heart broken, just trying to exist as who I am and also try to love other folks. And unfortunately, exist as who I am and try to love other Black folks has been really difficult sometimes because of the ways that we've all been brought up to believe all these really terrible things about ourselves and our spirituality and our sexuality, and trying to explain like, hey, it doesn't have to be that way, can be difficult, but it's not impossible. And I found 2 wonderful Black humans who love me and support me and record shit for me for OnlyFans. And you know what I mean? Like,
That's what partners do. That's how you show up.
Like show up, like show up for real. Like Jessica, one of my partners, like she has built my website. Like
Jessica is amazing.
I didn't have a website prior to my relationship with Jessica. Like she is, I guess I would call her like my life partner. She really just said, hey, you've got something good going here. I'm just gonna finesse it so you can get it like even more going. She didn't say, hey, stop. Hey, that's gross. Hey, that's, I've heard these things literally. Like people have told me like, okay, well, now that we're together, you can stop that. Or now that, you're going to settle down, or, but that's not her. She's just like, let's get this website up. Let's get some things. So I've started consultations now, which I didn't have before, because she put a consultation button on my website, which is like change the game, especially right now during these times. Yeah. So if you need a consultation, holla at your girl. But yeah, like just the little things. Yeah. When it comes to setup for kink and Sugar Shack, like Walina shows up, is like really big and strong and like throws the things and picks up the things and puts the things in the car. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, I feel like they're literally like my secret weapons, because they both show up in my life. Like they helped me move, they helped me organize, they helped me keep a head, like a sane head on my head, because I'm doing so many things. Yeah. And they remind me of the simple things like eating and drinking water. Yeah. Or show up to my shows, or show up to whatever I'm doing with things, or send them to me while I'm working, or and it's like, it's just the little things. It's the little things that can help me.
It's the things that buy you time.
Yeah, it saves me time, which then makes me able to do my work better, and then actually makes me more available for all the things, like you said, that they want. Yeah. If mama's happy, the rest of the house gonna be happy. Right. Yeah. It's like, it's so good. And also, they are sexually open and free. And I feel like this is the first time in my life where I've actually been partnered with people who are just as adventurous sexually as I am, and just as open to testing the waters and trying new things. And I feel like, especially as folks who were raised, all 3 of us were raised as like super devout Christians, and like that is very unheard of in our community.
It is.
So it's powerful, and I just want to like be encouraging the folks that it is possible, and like it's not something that's far off and never is going to happen. Like, no, it is possible, and you can create what you want in your romantic partnerships. And I am so grateful that although I've like been through some shit, like for once, I am just like, damn, you know what? It's not, love is not so terrible.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah, it's
you
true.
know, it's like, I can actually rest
Yeah.
in love. And that's, you know, I haven't been able to rest in love like since my marriage. Like, you know, like it's
being able to rest in love.
Yeah, rest and trust and lean in and like just exist as your full self. Like
that's powerful.
Yeah, it is powerful. It's life changing.
Really
I'll
is.
never understand folks that show up into people's lives and try to dim the light of the person.
Woo, and they do it.
Because I'm like, you were attracted to something of this light.
Right.
I used to, I tell my estranged husband a lot that I'm like, you reach for folks that are so much brighter than you can handle. Stop. Stop doing it. I'm like, because it's you're letting yourself down and you're gonna let them down, and it's not a good feeling, and it's a struggle, and it's definitely a struggle that I have felt for most of my life, that like I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do. And it just always feels like there's people coming into my life, specifically romantic partners that seem like they are turned on. They're attracted like fucking flies to this brightness.
Yes.
And then they're just like, put this fucking coat on, do this. I refuse to entertain anyone in my life that doesn't get the burlesque and doesn't want to be about the burlesque. Because honestly, you have to show up to the burlesque. That's a non-negotiable too, because it's how I make my money. It's how I support myself. Burlesque has given me so much. I'd say I'd tell you that probably kink and BDSM saved my life. Burlesque, though, saved my life. But burlesque, I found like self-love through burlesque, right? And I gained this world view that I feel has made me a stronger person. But I also think it's made me a more attractive person too. Yes. In that, like, people see this spirit and they're like, that's a really good heart going on there. I mean, they're dragging their pussy across the stage and that's neat. But they also seem like they got a good heart. That's cool. Yeah. And those two things are not mutually exclusive. No. I think we're now getting into this Madonna horror complex thing, right? Too. The idea of that good girls don't, and I definitely lived a lot of my life very much so ashamed, again, because I knew that I liked women, they were just delightful, but also that I knew that like touching my pussy felt good, and I was all about that. I think masturbation is grand. Self-love is wonderful. In my house, we call masturbation that charity starts at home.
Period.
I
love that.
Charity starts at home.
I love that.
But I'm a big fan of masturbation.
Oh, me too.
For myself personally, and I recommend other folks do it.
Yeah. It's my treat tonight for like all the work that I'm doing tonight.
Yeah.
I made sure not to masturbate because I'm like, that's going to be your treat for like getting all the things done that you're supposed to. And I checked off. I checked off all the things on my list today for once in my life, which if anybody knows me, that's a big deal. But I'm like, yep, my treat is treating myself.
Yeah, you've got to have things to look forward to that are restorative and nourishing. Yeah.
Yep.
But that self-pleasure thing is so tied up with a lot of femme presenting folks, right? That we feel like we shouldn't, right? And then we get into these sexual relationships with folks, typically male folks, and
I got something to say on that. It's not even just the male folks.
We don't know, like being told that you don't know what feels good. Let me show you what feels good, or being upset when you correct or direct something. I thought that I didn't think that I liked oral sex performed on me for a very long time because it's just this gnawing thing would happen. I'm like, why are you chewing on the left labia lip? Like just in there. Like, is it like jerky? Like what's going on? I just felt like I was just like it wasn't for me. Yeah. And I remember once when I tried to correct this man, he was just like biting. And I'm like, hey,
I know it tastes good, but damn.
I'm like, if you could just maybe lick the button. It's literally a button. You could just lick that.
It's just sitting right there
and he goes, in my experience, I found.
Nope.
No.
Time out.
Yeah.
Time out right there.
In my experience, I have found, and I'm like, oh, and I said, I didn't know that you had a pussy.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And he stopped dead in his
particular
tracks,
this
and he
one.
goes, you just don't know what you want.
Oh.
And I said, well, I know that I don't want this.
Period.
And so that was the end of that.
Oh.
Right? But like, it's just this mind-blowing concept of gentle correction of like, I don't like this. Yeah. I'm not feeling this.
Oh gosh.
I feel like it's that struggle of even being able to verbalize it. You verbalize it and you get shut down. Even if you show it in your face, you go cold. You stop vocalizing. You go all of that, and you still have
that will require
partners
a partner who's paying attention.
Yeah, that just has some ounce of empathy, right?
And listens, right?
Read the room. You know?
Yeah,
Read
literally
the room. Read the room, and that is something that I feel like. I remember coming to that realization, just kind of being horrified of guys that complain about like the dead fish. I remember this guy's talking about, oh yeah, I fucked this girl and she went dead fish. And I remember as a kid just being like, that's odd. How does that happen? Why does that happen?
You're not talking about what has happened that led up to that.
Yeah.
Right.
And I remember the first time I kind of went dead fish. And I'm like, I wonder how long I can lay here without making a noise, without even thrusting up anything before this person realizes that I'm no longer here with them.
Right.
Yeah. Like past the point of not enjoying it. Like, I don't want to be doing this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And I can tell you that there are a lot of male folks out there that will not tune into that.
Nope.
Will not tune into that. And it really makes me feel that I think that there are some male folks out here that really actually don't like women.
Ooh, come on,
but they like sex.
Talk about
they
it.
like the release. And I'm just like, fleshlights are a lot cheaper than taking women out on dates. It's a lot cheaper, and you'll be satisfied so much better that way. I think that that's a better route to go. Well, I use this phrase, men want the candy, but they hate the wrapper.
Whoop. Come on.
It feels like everything that we as society is deemed as feminine, men seem to be deeply repulsed by, like really repulsed by, yet they want the candy. And I'm like, I'm so confused.
They're also confused.
I think you're saying that, right? They're confused. They're taught to not like that's something to be feared, and people are afraid of what they don't understand. And there's a piece here too about, and I'm totally generalizing, but that men learn that sex is connection, and that the only way they can get connection is through sex. And so we miss intimacy.
Yeah.
We miss it. We've just in sexuality education like effed up. And that is why we're in this like beautiful revolution of education, in a lot of beautiful revolutions right now, let me say. Yes. But like there is this need to remind, hey, there's this pleasure thing called our body. Yes. There are lots of different ways that it works. Like, and you have agency. Like, learn yourself.
Yes.
Yeah, you're 5 years old and scooting across the floor because your clit feels good on the ground. Go for it, girl. Like, good. Enjoy yourself. And don't shame children.
Yes.
Yeah. There's too much shame.
Yes.
Yeah.
I also want to say too, like, as a survivor of sexual assault and rape and like all of these things, like for folks who are listening or watching or whatever, the things that we're talking about are not okay that they've happened. Like, period. Beautiful. It's not okay that we've had to fake. It's not okay that we've had to wait for someone to see that we're not enjoying it anymore. It's not okay that the environment was such that we didn't feel safe enough to advocate for ourselves and say, hey, I'd like to stop. It's not okay that we haven't been taught that we were even allowed to say that we want to stop during sex. But I want to just like go ahead and confirm that, like, if you felt like you wanted to and you didn't, and then you like had these conflicting feelings afterwards, like, it's totally okay to say no even during. It's totally okay to say no as you're leading up to it. It's totally fine to say no after it because you don't want to go again, or you just want them to leave your space. Like, these things are real. It really did happen. It really was gross. It's as gross as you thought it was. It's as weird as you thought it was. You're not crazy. You're not over exaggerating. You weren't being wrong or like something, because I've also had that where people have tried to shame me about my body or like my vagina because it's not responding in the way that they want it to, and I'm like, no, that's not something wrong with my pussy. That's something wrong with you being disgusting. Like, and you know, like, I think that it's okay to name that and to say that we have all, but a lot of us have had some sexual situations where we're not really sure if we can call it assault or rape or whatever, because we're like, well, we did like it at one point or we didn't, or you know what I mean? Like we have all these like conflicting things, but like whatever you felt in your body is true and is right. And if you have partners in your life that make you feel like that on a regular basis and you cannot communicate or you're not able to communicate and find a middle ground, it's okay to say you don't want to do that anymore. Because no one ever told me that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just thought that sex was supposed to hurt for a long time. I thought sex was it just hurt.
Yeah.
I just thought that was part of sex
Yeah.
because nobody told me that it doesn't have to hurt.
Yeah.
No one ever told me that. It was just about the pleasure of someone else, and usually the more masculine of center person. I had no idea that sex didn't hurt.
Yeah.
For years. I didn't know what everybody was talking about. Everybody was just like, oh, it's so great, and like blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like,
You sure?
I had no idea. So I'm saying this because I want to be the voice that I wish I would have heard all those years ago.
Yeah.
That like sex is not supposed to hurt unless you want it to.
Yeah.
Yes. Because that's fun too.
Because that's real fun.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think what I'm hearing is this like invitation of awareness of what is like a spectrum, right? What feels good in your body, uniquely good in your body, and what doesn't feel good. And that takes that, we're not taught to know our bodies.
No.
We're not taught that we have agency over our bodies, that we have autonomy. We're just not taught. And so thank you for saying that. That needed to be said.
Absolutely.
Right? And that dead fish thing is, we've got fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and dissociate.
Yes.
And that was, I think what we were just talking about was dissociate. It was freeze and dissociate.
Yes,
and that is your body's natural trauma response of something is wrong. I don't want this anymore.
Yes.
But we aren't taught to listen to it. So what happens is 12-year-olds have stomach aches, right? Like I've got diabetes. I've got to listen to my body majorly, right?
Yes.
As someone who's disabled. So the invitation I'm hearing from both of you from our conversation today is check with yourself.
Yes.
Right? It's what's restorative. How do you look into yourself? What feels good to you? Who are you hanging out with?
Yeah.
Right? Who's energizing around you? What do you need to eat? Drink some water right now. Everyone drink some water.
Absolutely.
Right? I have my water here. Like drink some water.
Yes.
We're just, we don't check with our bodies.
We don't check with our bodies. We don't check with our bodies at all. I also want to say too, like, it's really complicated too when you have sexual trauma to know if you're just freaking out or if there's really something wrong too, right? And so I want to say, as someone who has learned to work with my body as I have sex, that it's okay to check in with yourself and tell the person that you're engaging with that you're checking in with yourself, because that saved my life.
Yeah. Being
Being able to say, and thank you, therapy. I've been in therapy for years. Thank you, therapy, for giving me the words and the ways and the work. But I've learned through therapy how to communicate. I'm just having a moment right now. It's not actually that I don't want to. I'm realizing now that I'm thinking about it, I actually really do want to. My body's just kind of triggered right now. So I'm going to work with it. I'm going to talk to it. I'm going to see what it wants to do next.
Beautiful.
So it doesn't mean that necessarily anything has to stop, or it can stop, or it can start again, or there's so many more options. And I didn't know that. I thought that like if I had a freak out, that means that sex is over and everything's terrible and it was a horrible time. But I have now, thanks to like all of this work and actually having two wonderful partners who listen and pay attention, I've been able to work through sexual panic attacks. I've been able to work through moments of triggers because I had partners who not only wanted me to advocate for myself, but listened to me when I did. And that can change your life.
It really can.
And there are partners out there who are willing to do that work with you, who are willing to listen, who are willing to meet you at a hold on and maybe a stop. But like there are partners out there who are not just concerned with only themselves. And I didn't know that.
They're not going to take it personally,
They're
right?
not
They're
gonna
like
take it
differentiated enough to like they're not taking your stuff onto them. They're it's like co-regulation, right? Like I see you, you're having this experience. What do you need from me?
Yes.
And let's pause. Right.
Yes,
and they're not like, what did I do? Oh, crap. Right. Like, absolutely. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah. And then, because then it's like you're taking care of them. It's like, okay, wait, I'm trying to.
And then it reinforces, well, I'm not going to tell you when something's wrong.
Yes.
Because if then I have to take care of you.
Yes.
Right. So, yeah, beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. And I just like, I like to tell people that because I am kind of like, you know, the goddess of sexiness, right? Everyone's like, oh, Briq House, I want Briq House energy. And I'm like, Briq House still has panic attacks during sex. I want to be honest about that. I want to tell people that, because I think that sometimes we see our heroes or the people we look up to as like, oh, they don't have those problems, blah, blah, blah. No, I cry. I have freak outs. I have moments. I have triggers randomly. Like, I have not come to some ascension that I don't ever have those things.
Yeah.
I just have had the resources to get help and learn how to communicate through those things. And I have also learned how to partner with better people who also will help me and pay attention to those things and listen when I communicate them.
Beautiful. I'm really glad that you talked about this.
I just want to be like transparent about that, because sometimes I think that, especially with like sexual educators and like fetish folks and kink folks, it's like you think we're just always having a good time, but like, no, most of us have had a lot of fucking trauma, which is why we're so good at the work that we do.
Yeah, how we got
here. Because we know it intimately.
Right. Yeah.
And so I don't ever want people to be out there thinking that they're by themselves. Like, no, like even your faves, all three of us, I know we have like people who really look up to us and love us. And all three of us work through things on a regular basis around our bodies, around our genders, around our sexuality. It's a daily work. It's a daily process. And like you said, it's a lifetime work.
Yeah. It's showing up for yourself.
It's a lifetime work.
You have to show up for yourself. I really do appreciate you talking about that. I am a person that fairly often, like after I come, I cry and kind of have like really intense moments, and a lot of that is centered around abandonment issues. You know, and feeling, especially like in my younger years, I felt like the one currency that I had was that I was a good lay, and so it was that one thing that it's like I can leverage this sex for this moments of intimacy. I can get this and I can have it. Great. And what it has created is this fear of abandonment surrounding sex. And so sometimes I will, you know, I'll come and I'll cry, I'll disassociate. It's just really intense. And I can honestly say that one of my partners, I call him my service daddy. We started kind of talking about this more and more, because it was really happening a lot when he and I first got together. And one of the things that he does, like almost immediately after I have an orgasm now, is just being like, I'm here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here. And it's been really, really helpful. And so it's happening less and less and less. You know, and it's really it's really nice to be able to communicate that and then go from there, right? Like, it's so good. Let's communicate it and then go from there.
Oh, and then going from there can be
spectacular, because
because you feel safe.
Well, yeah, and you created this additional moment of intimacy, right? So now it's like, now you're even closer, and I think this is it's definitely allowed me to sink deeper into that relationship, and definitely sink deeper into enjoying my body again and enjoying sex a whole lot more than I was enjoying it. And it's really nice. It's definitely, and I get to be the pillow princess of my dreams, and that's dope. I like that. I love it. I want to talk about, let's talk about WAP. Let's talk about this wet ass pussy thing, because this is ridiculous. Woo, 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 woo. I am just in awe of the below back.
Intense.
Yeah, I shouldn't be. That's the thing, though. Like, I shouldn't be blown away by it. And if you're listening and you are not sure what WAP is, WAP stands for wet ass pussy.
Yeah, some people say WAP, some people say WAP, but it's all the same. It's that gushy, it's that wonderfulness.
It's that
the
wet,
creation. It's the goodness. It's the greatness.
And song is it's a Cardi B song with Meg the Stallion.
Oh, man.
And the music video.
Also, Megan likes girls, so what's up,
right?
Meg?
It's so nice.
Right. What's poppin'?
It's really, the music video is stunning, absolutely stunning. Music video. I love that the hairstyles are very like living single, mid-90s.
Babs, like every black woman that we grew up looking at looked like that.
Yeah.
Like,
I do think about Babs. I think about Halle Berry. I think about Halle Berry and Babs at least twice a year. Like I think about her in that movie twice a year. What a delight. And BAP stands for Black American Princesses, if you're
Would you
not
say
sure.
that you want us to be BAPs for Halloween this year?
You should be BAPs for Halloween. Yes, we should. Oh my God, yes. But this music video is amazing, and the song is amazing. One of the lines in the song is like, "Let me show you how I got this ring." Woo.
Boom.
I can't.
Woo. It's hot. It's the hotness. It's
The
pretty
line
dope.
was, "I don't cook, I don't clean."
Let me
Let me show you
how
how I got this ring.
ring.
I would also like to go on record and say that I do not cook and I don't clean, but I
Yes.
definitely have this beautiful ruby and diamond promise ring on my finger.
I
Yes.
love it. I love it.
Not that you need a ring. That's a whole nother conversation about like
Yeah.
people and their ideas around
Yeah.
values and types of relationships. But
Right.
Yeah.
still,
So
if that's your form of value,
Sure.
Jesus, it's so
you don't
good.
have to cook and clean for it, which
It's-
was really prolific.
Yeah.
Because people really think that you need to do those things if you're a feminine person
Absolutely.
in a relationship in order to get the the wifey status.
I don't think that I've washed a single dish or loaded my dishwasher in my new place since we've.
Why
moved
would
in.
you? That's not your job.
There's two able-bodied
Period.
human beings else that live
You're
there.
doing all the other things.
I don't do it.
No.
Well, and it's negotiated in your household, right?
Correct.
So, like, it's
Yeah.
if that works in your household, it's like,
Yes.
we all have ways of showing up, and those ways of showing up are going to be different, and some of them are the same, right? It's
Absolutely.
like this is our intersectionality piece too. So, like,
Yes.
if you cook and clean and that's how you get your ring, go for it, cool.
Yes, get it, boo.
But some of us don't.
Absolutely.
And this is one of the reasons my husband, he shows up in this way. I don't like cooking.
Yes.
Everyone's mad when I cook.
Yes.
Everyone, even the little fur
Yes.
babies.
Yes.
So I don't do it, and everyone's happy.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
he's
It's-
damn
yeah.
good at, and he looks so
Those
cute
cookies
when
were
he
so
does.
good.
Every time
by
I
the way.
try
Did you
to
love
cook,
them?
it
So
is
good.
just
Cookies are so
it's
good.
just not really that good.
Yeah.
You know, I've tried, and my partners are so sweet, and they try it, but it's just not good.
No,
You know?
and it's okay.
It's
It doesn't
not
have
good.
to be.
So just-
We've
I
got
just-
other skills.
just gonna stop
Yes,
doing it.
we
'cause
do.
it's not
Other
good.
skills.
I almost
Bigger,
killed
badder
us last
skills.
time because I didn't cook it right.
Yeah.
Like,
Bigger, badder
there's other
skills.
people who are really good at that.
The
so.
lyrics in this song are smoke show.
They really
I
are.
loved them.
They're so good.
Oh wow.
And
I wish I could pull them
just
up right
just
now.
the
I love that people are talking more about eating ass because like that needs to be done.
right.
Like I feel like okay, so for the queer folks, like we've been eating ass, right? But
It's nothing
I
new
feel
here,
like the
folks.
heteros are just now coming around eating ass, and I'm like, thank you, like get it together.
There's a comedian, and she goes, "If you don't eat ass, grow the fuck up.
Yeah.
Like grow up, grow up." And so I think it's Ali Wong says this, and she's so fucking funny. So she did a whole stand up set, and she's like heavily pregnant, and she is just going off about eating ass, and then she just looks at the audience. She goes, "If you don't eat ass, just grow the fuck up, grow up." And I'm like,
I love it.
"Y'all grow up, eat the
Yeah,
ass."
there's people still out there, and that's the thing. Like, do you, but like, be honest about it and like really think about where it's coming from. But there are still people out there who just like do not do oral sex, but they want, oral sex, like DJ Khaled, like really like appear like
We talk about him
proud
way too
about
much
it.
in my house.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to because like
No.
I don't talk about people who don't give oral sex, so it doesn't matter. They're irrelevant. But like I mean, unless they're asexual, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
That's great, and I love you. But I'm talking about people who are like, no, I want oral sex, and I deserve oral sex because I'm a king. But like, you don't deserve oral sex because you're a queen. Like, I don't really get that foolishness. I also just want to go on record again and say that like asexual folks, demi folks, I see you, I feel you. And this is not that. I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about a very fucked up patriarchal version of that.
Right. Yeah.
And there's a
So-
spectrum.
Yeah.
Some
Yes.
ace and arrow folks do have sex and do enjoy it and do enjoy
Exactly.
pleasure. And so that I love that you brought
Yes.
that up.
Yeah.
I'm with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah. Lots of love, but that's
Yes.
not what we're talking
That's
about.
not what we're talking about.
We're talking
yeah.
about the idea that somebody says, I'm not going to do this. I want you to do this for me, but I'm not going to do it for you.
Reciprocation.
Yes, exactly. That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah.
We talk about him quite a bit because my one of my partners, their last name is King, and he goes, "In this instance, I am a peasant," and I'm like, that is a fucking delight.
He is such a sweetheart.
He is a
He's
sweetheart.
just a little gem.
He's running around at work today with a beard that smelled like me all day, didn't you?
That's what you should be doing.
Yeah.
I love
It's a
it.
delight.
I
It's
love
really a
it.
delight. I think
truly,
that's just
truly.
kind of the
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
it really is. It makes me feel really good knowing that he was at work all day with his mask on. So he was just
Yeah,
in
it's
it.
like it's just really getting it.
Just
in
in
there.
it.
Yeah.
As
I
it
just
should
hope he was rocking like a little simmy all day.
be.
Maybe,
Yes.
maybe a little one. That'd be
Yeah.
great. Makes me happy.
I love that. I love
It's
that
like
idea.
a feedback loop of love.
It
And
really
is.
eroticism.
Like,
That's just
oh.
like ongoing, right? Is like, yeah. That's
Well, and it's just those ways that you can that it just kind of keeps the fun going.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just like I can't wait to get home to you.
You know what I like doing, y'all? Putting some dirty panties in like the pocket, right? So it's like, oh, you just randomly put your hand in your pocket and you're like, what's this? And like, you know, it's like, oh, this is like, oh, these are the panties that I took off of that person, or like this is like it's just some panties they had on, or like whatever. I don't even really wear panties except for like during my moon cycle, but every now and again I'll put some on just to have them taken off.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fun.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
It's fun to have something to take off.
is,
Yeah.
it
Or have
is.
someone else
But
take
yeah,
off.
surprise them with a little dirty panty in the
Yeah.
pocket.
I
You
like
know,
that.
you'd be surprised. You'll get a little selfie sometimes of them being in the car, like I'm on my
Yeah.
break, but I just want.
I got to be careful because he'll take them. He'll take them. He'll wear them. That's I like that too. So one of my other partners, he is currently visiting his family down south right now, and right before he left, he came over and he's like, "You sent me a link like a week ago." And I'm like, "I did," and he goes, and it was like all like, it was like genderless lingerie because that's his gig. And he wears the lace and the bodysuits and the underwear, but they're all cut for his junk.
I love
And
it.
it's one of those things that every time I see my Meta, his primary partner, I just kind of give her the double guns because she's also a dominant human, and she's just like, I'm expected as a femme to have gorgeous underwear on and the best lingerie, and you show up in these tidy fucking whiteys at a party, fuck you.
Right.
So she's like, no. And so it's every time I get to hang out with him and I get to pull his pants down, it's always surprising. And folks who know me and know me really well, I am obsessed with a print called Houndstooth. It's currently on my phone right now. And this partner has surprised me numerous times at events and things like that, where like we're about to play and he takes off his pants and there's houndstooth underwear on.
Oh, that's a great surprise.
It's beautiful, and every time it happens, I'm just
So
like, is it my
thoughtful.
birthday? Like it makes me feel so good and so seen. But also, fun fact for those who are into like hanky code and things like that. So houndstooth, if you wear it on the right, means that you like to be bitten. And if you wear it on the left, it means that you like to bite. So
I like this.
you may see me with a houndstooth flower in my hair here and there, and it's always worn on the left. But
I love that.
it's great. But I think like the wet ass pussy phenomenon in terms of people being like, like it's too vulgar, it's too this, it's too that.
Oh God.
And like just getting to the root of all
What
of
do you
that.
think Grandma was doing? How do you think you got here? Right? Like, come on.
Well,
Sex is a
Come
society that
on.
is so sex repellent, like just sex averse,
so silly.
but also hyper sex at the same time. Get it together. Like it's too much. Pick one. Like I don't know. It's so intense.
Well, the idea that something's two, it's like, I don't fit in a box. Don't try to put me in a box. I imagine you two don't fit in boxes either. You don't want to be in boxes. And this is
That's
like,
why I
this
don't
is
wear
too
underwear,
much. This
because my labia are so wonderful and
Right.
my clit is so big. Like it's just a fight.
underwear's a box.
It's a fight. It's a box.
Underwear
that-
is a
that
box.
I don't think I'll
my goodness
ever
cannot fit
look
in.
at underwear the same after this
they're pussy.
conversation.
They're pussy prisons.
Is like, I
It's
love
not
it.
okay.
I'm not here for it.
Yeah.
I don't typically wear underwear. I don't
Boxes.
wear bras.
No
really
underwear,
anymore.
no bras, no boxes.
No.
We're
None of
just
that.
like
We're
this
done.
idea that there's too much. We're not enough. We're too much. We're not enough. We're too much. No, I
What
don't
is the just
subscribe
right?
to it.
What is the
Yeah.
just right? Because
Yeah.
I think the just right is like half makeup on one side of your face and then like nothing on the other. Like I don't. There's always this idea that women have to be a certain way, but no one can tell you what that way is. And I'm not really interested to hear you even try to hypothesize that.
No.
Because fuck you.
Yeah.
And I feel like these two women especially are getting a lot of extra heat because they're POC.
Yeah.
And but also like they're not the first
No.
as
not at all.
femmes
Not at
to
all.
to rap or sing about.
Nobody cared when Madonna was singing about it, but now all of a sudden everybody cares. Like, get the fuck out of here.
I was listening to My Neck, My Back on the way up here today, and I was just like, God damn, this song is dirty. I like it. And then there's a old song. Can't remember who sings it, but it's called "Put a Little Sugar in My Bowl." It's like was it like from the 40s or something?
The list goes on.
It's ridiculous.
The list goes on.
And I think it's just this, and someone's just like, well, I don't want my, no one, like, we shouldn't let our kids listen to them. I'm like, well, if you're a parent, by all means, don't let your kid listen to this. But I will tell you this. I was singing along to LL Cool J's Doing It in junior high school, not understanding what the fuck was going on with that song. All I knew is that I loved it when LL Cool J started saying Brooklyn over and over again. I love that part where he's like, Brooklyn.
Yes.
Right? It's a great song. Pony came out when I was in middle school. Had no fucking business.
Yeah.
Didn't know what the hell was going on.
You stand a little close, feel a little poke coming
Through. Yes. What is that even about? I didn't really know what it was about.
Salt and Pepper, TLC. Yo, let me tell y'all, I got in trouble because one year for Halloween, I wanted to go to school as TLC, and I took my mom's condoms and put them like on my shoes and shit. I didn't know what the fuck that meant. I just know TLC had condoms on.
That's a hat to the back.
And I thought it was cool. And I was like, this is cool. I guess that's what we would call now being sex positive, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool, but my mom whooped my ass. And it's so funny now knowing how expensive condoms are and stuff. I'm like poking holes in them to like safety pins and like, but
Yeah. I was just
I was gonna give them back.
Yeah. You're like, but I was just
I'm
doing
glad
the
you
thing.
didn't give him back.
I'm
really glad you didn't give him back.
Doing, you know, like Left Eye. Left Eye had like the condom in the sunglasses.
She
you
did.
Know what I mean? Like
that was they were out here like TLC and Salt and Pepper especially were out here talking about safer sex because it was an epidemic in the Black community, especially. Folks were dying; they didn't know, and so like that was the first time I like heard like rap your Jimmy. Or my dad was just like talking to one of his friends, and he was just like rap your Jimmy, and I'm like.
Jimmy hat.
I don't know what that means, but sir, my dad said you
hat.
should do it. You should do it. But like, I mean, I think about Salt and Pepper is None of Your Business.
Yes.
Is a very, very good song.
Wanna be a freakin',
selling on the weekends.
None of your business.
It's such a good song, right? But like, how like, I think because of how our media is, right, that the scrutiny on this is even more so. But I think if our media was at the level that it was when that song came out, it would have been just as ridiculous because Black women, Black femme folks are fetishized. We're over sexualized and we're hypersexualized even at a young age.
And then told that there's something wrong.
Yeah, cover it up.
Exactly.
Like
cover it up.
you have to be this way, you can't be this way. You have to be this way. And it's the male gaze. Or the male gaze.
And let's be real, it's the rape culture. It's the consent, right? Because people love taking advantage of and taking from Black femmes, but they have a real issue with the lack of ability to take from. Right? And nobody really wants to name that for what it is. That's just what it is. Everything is fine as long as you can take it. But as soon as someone's saying, not only can you not take it, but I will share it if I choose to, and I'm going to make you pay for it. Oh, folks are like, oh, God, what? I'm usually just able to take it as I please.
Yeah.
Like,
Colonization.
Whether you consent to it or
It is
not.
colonization.
Right, yeah. And it's like,
Colonization.
no, we're done with that. Time's up, right?
Yep.
All that shit. Time's up on that shit.
Yeah.
Like, and I think that it's, as a Black woman in sex work, I constantly think about the ways in which we were forced into sexual labor, and never had any choice in the matter, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's a lot of, this country just has a lot of leftover shit from that, of like thinking that it's still Black femmes are here to provide sexual labor and that's it.
Yeah.
There's nothing about our pleasure, right? And like, I also think about, just like the starts of gynecology and all those things. It's like, that was done, and we were experimented on, we were tortured, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's really chain breaking. It's really a masterful work to come and undo all of that and say, not only are you not going to experiment on me, you're not going to take from me, you're not going to take my milk, you're not going to do any of that shit.
Yeah.
Right.
You're going to access me as I see fit, and as I see fit may not be, you don't have no access.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right. And like people can't handle that. People can't handle the idea that maybe a black femme is not just for the taking.
Right.
Yeah.
They can't handle it. It's like, oh God, it's so upsetting. But you know what I want to do? I want to change the conversation about WAP into what we do to maintain the WAP, right? Because
Exactly.
I feel like we've
love
talked about these people and all their issues with it. Who cares? Fuck them. Like, grow up. But also, like, you know, to whom much is given, much is required, you know? And WAP is a powerful, powerful thing. And I'm so grateful to have it. And so I'd like to talk about, like, you know, what we do to, like, really feel our best in our WAP power.
Oh man.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I would like to go on record and say that apple cider vinegar is my friend. I adore it. I love it. It really just, you know, blesses my WAP life.
Doesn't
But
that?
that's me.
Tell me
That's
more
what
about
works-
this.
That's what works for my body. Everybody's body is different.
It's a good, it cleanses.
Yeah.
It's like a,
So I love an apple cider vinegar rinse, especially after your moon cycle, because whenever I have my moon cycle, my pH balance is like la 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 la. Let's just, you know, go up and down the scale, and I'm like, no, let's stay where I want it. You know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like apple cider vinegar helps me get that balance back.
Nice.
I also love Honey Pot Co., which they also use apple cider vinegar in a lot of their
Black owned.
it's
correct.
black owned. They use
Yeah.
apple cider vinegar. They also use like colloidal silver, which is also really great. I also use and love and have really had some great experiences using coconut oil as lube. And
I
nothing
love
else.
coconut oil.
Just coconut
Yeah.
oil. It is just like when I like WAP. I feel like WAP doesn't even like contain what coconut oil does for me during sex.
I like that.
Coconut
That
oil's
and
wonderful.
THC lube.
Yes.
Yes,
We
Woo!
use a lot of that.
Woo!
in my
Velvet
household.
Swing. Shout out to Velvet Swing, sex worker
In
owned,
Seattle.
woman-owned.
Yeah.
Yes.
Seattle based. But
Big fan.
For coconut oil, keep two separate ones. One like for sex,
Yes.
and one for cooking.
Thank
for
you.
the folks
yes,
who do cooking
please
in the
keep
house.
it separate. So I
Keep
have
them
one
separate.
that's separate, like on my bed,
Yeah.
and then I have one that's
Yeah.
separate, like in the
Yeah.
kitchen.
Yes.
We do not mix the two.
I love it. I love
So
it.
dope.
The apple cider vinegar. I was thinking of the drinking it because it can be
Yes.
good for. That's what I was thinking of the cleansing. I eat a lot of fruit. Being diabetic, I have to be careful of my sugars, and fruit is a really great way for me to make sure I'm nourishing my body. And so
Yes.
I'm like into the mangoes, which is also like delicious
Really
and
delicious,
sultry
sexy
and
looking,
like
yeah.
a sexual fruit just in and
Yeah.
of itself.
Yes.
Anyway, we're doing a lot of like fruits and vegetables these days, and
Yes.
so and water.
Oh,
we
water.
need to hydrate.
Woo!
You need to hydrate.
Yes.
You really need to
Hydrate,
hydrate.
please. It's
And
so important.
balance with potassium, because if you
It
drink
is.
too much water and you don't eat enough potassium, then you're like anyway. So water
Yes,
and
both.
and
Water and
bananas.
potassium.
And for folks that don't like bananas, like myself, there is lots of potassium
Oh, there's
in
so many
broccoli.
supplements.
There are.
And there's supplements, but there's lots of potassium in broccoli and cherries. As a kid, I had to learn this because I hate bananas, and everyone's like, "But what about potassium?" And so I'm like, broccoli has lots of potassium too.
And I want to talk about when you don't have a wet ass pussy, because
yes.
that can also happen. And for folks,
And it happens all the time.
It happens all the time. And I
It's
want
normal. I want people to know that.
It is.
It happens all the time for various reasons.
and aging. Like
Oh.
we pathologize aging in this culture, and aging is, if we are so lucky and privileged to be
Yes.
people who age, like that is amazing. My
Yes.
grandmother was having sex in her 90s. At the end of like her end of life, she had this like one really cool anyway, it was like a statue of like two legs open, and they would it was like they were like bookends. Anyway,
Yes.
she was having sex until in her 90s, and I want to
Yes,
be like
absolutely.
that, right? And so
Wow.
use
Now that's
lube. Yeah.
That's WAP extended.
Yeah, it is. I love
Period.
it.
That's what we're trying to get to.
So we get to age, right? If we're
Yes.
privileged, and like honestly, use lube.
Yeah.
Lube is wonderful.
Lord,
It's wonderful.
Use
it.
the lube.
Right.
Use it. It's our friend.
It's our
And that's
friend.
what I'm saying. Like, so I have like a very sensitive situation, right? So which is why coconut oil just does wonders for me, because it's like nothing else is in there. So I don't have any time to be irritated with anything because it's just coconut oil. I use 100% virgin, whatever. But yeah, it's like our walls thin, our the lubrication decrease. Like there's so many things that happen. Also though, like taking natural supplements, just like whatever I got a blood test and I found out what I'm low in. And I started taking supplements to help with whatever I'm low in. You would be surprised. It helps all the areas. Even though you think it's for one thing, it starts affecting all the things.
I love
Absolutely.
that.
Right?
Yeah.
Like your body's like, oh, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Now I can produce a little bit more of this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? Like,
It's good.
yes. Also, I want to just go on record and say that you might be gay. Enough of us don't talk about that. Sometimes our bodies are not responding because we're not actually liking the partner we're with, or you might not be. You just may not be partnering with the right humans.
Yeah. So you're talking about interest, arousal, desire,
Yes.
right? Absolutely. So that like arousal piece is the physiological response that our body gets to being turned on. Desire is that like I have desire for you, like I'm like craving you, and interest is like I have the willingness to have
Come
sex.
on,
right?
and
So,
it's
like,
all different.
Yeah, it's all different. So thank
all
you for
different.
bringing that piece up.
Yes.
Maybe you are engaging in sex because it's either obligatory, you think you have to because society fucking
You're
sucks,
used to it,
right?
yeah.
You're used to it. You're
This is
told
just
that
the way
this
it
is the
is.
person you're supposed to be attracted to,
Yes.
right? And for folks like us, we've done the work around like, okay, this didn't work for us, and so this is, and so we find what turns us on over time.
Yeah.
And like, it's been for me. I'll talk about my experience. It's been a journey.
Oh yeah.
Right. And what turns me on is like. There are a lot of beautiful things that turn me
And it
on, and it's
changes over
great.
time.
It totally changes, and over the week sometimes, and over the day sometimes.
Yes.
So like,
and people don't
allow
talk enough
yourself that
about
variety. Right.
People don't talk enough about how like sometimes your body's just like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I don't like that anymore.
Right.
I want to try something else. I want to do this new thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's not cutting it right now.
That's not working.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the same way about like even masturbating. There's like, I masturbate and I use like different toys. I use different like visual stimulations. And like 1 week, it'll just be like hardcore anal. I want to watch all anal videos. I want to do all the anal masturbation. I want to do that. And then the next week, my body's just like,
no, thanks. Not into it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Actually, I really want this like really loving scene, and I want this thing, and and I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Let's try that. Like, our bodies and our minds respond to different things over time, and like, I just want to move away from this idea that if your pussy is not just gushing out, that something is wrong with you. No, there are a variation of circumstances that lead to why our bodies do what they do, and there are also a variation of things that people who you look up to do in order to get whatever you think they're getting. Right?
Absolutely.
And video and visual stimulation is great, but I also want to remind people that those are productions. And so there are things that are happening behind the scenes that you don't know about. There is tons of reapplication of lube. There are tons of resets that you don't see because we shoot and then we cut and then we restart, and like there's just things that you don't see, y'all.
Queefing,
So, like,
going to the bathroom. You're allowed to take a break.
Yes.
You're allowed to go to the bathroom and
Eating,
pee. Sometimes we
Could
have
you
to do that.
please
Right? Yeah.
go pee
Laughing,
after you have
giggling.
sex?
farting, like
Absolutely.
all of these
Yes.
things are a normal part.
Yeah.
Of it.
Like,
It is
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, but please go pee after you have sex. Please do that.
Please go pee after you have sex.
Good Lord.
Also, there are supplements. I am like a supplement junkie right now. I'm like all the natural supplements, but there's like cranberry supplements. If you can't get it in your system like regularly, there are like AZO has a yeast and a urinary tract in their supplements, and they're both natural. You can take
Nice.
those. Like,
So when
Take
you
your body.
start your sex toy company,
Yes.
I think we've got non-binary lingerie.
Yes.
We've got supplements.
Yes.
Like this is happening.
This
Yes.
is your,
And,
that's
like,
your
yes.
next big thing,
yeah,
right?
that is the thing.
That's
Yeah,
the thing?
that's the well, I'm working on a couple of big things. So
you have so many big things.
I
always.
know.
I love your big
I know.
things.
Who told me to be a visionary? So I have a couple of things in the brew. In the what is it?
The cauldron.
So one is a dungeon space.
Yes.
I currently work out of a dungeon space here in Seattle. That's wonderful. But I also want one that's like Black woman owned and led.
Yes.
So so a dungeon space, event space / dungeon space. And then also my sex empire. So it will be sexual education, but also sex toys, and just sexual, let's say, accessories,
Accoutrement.
accompaniments,
Accoutrement.
And it will range from
need
different types of lingerie to different types of toys and different kinds of supplements. And it will just stem from a place of there's room for all of us in this sexy pot. Because I feel like a lot of times when I go searching for things and I find them, but they're not for me. And I'm like, well, I'm really glad. And I can get that for my friend who I think is set up for this.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really work for me. Right. And like, even like, we'll take something as simple as like those toys that have like the little bunny at the top and then it's like an insertion piece. But I'm like, whose vagina do they make these for? Because I have not ran into one that actually fits my anatomy.
Yeah.
Like not one. It's always like it goes in some weird place. It's not actually hitting the places. Like it never works. And I'm like, I know I'm not the only one who these things do not work for, but they make them in these like universal sizes.
Yeah.
Also, can we talk about strap-ons and how small they are? And I'm like, are you not considering that there's so many other larger body people who use strap-ons? And if I'm trying to get through belly and thighs and through your belly and thighs and my own belly and thighs, I'm sorry, 6 and 8 inches ain't doing it when we're trying to do certain positions.
Midori taught me how to make a strap-on, and we're gonna invite Midori on for one. Have you met Midori? Yeah.
Yes, I met them at Sex Down South.
She's amazing. She taught me how to make one with a strip of a sheet that you put on a bed and you cut it, and so you can actually make it with the dildo, and so you don't need to buy the actual strap. You can make it yourself.
Cute.
So maybe we'll invite her.
Well, I was talking more so about the actual member, but also the harnesses are also super sizes and stupid most of the time. There are some that are definitely like, I think Babeland does a good job of incorporating more sizes. I think Wild at Heart does a good
absolutely
size
big up to Wild at Heart,
incorporating more sizes for sure. But yeah, like there's just.
You're talking about vaginal canal.
But I was talking about like vaginal canal or anal insertion even. It's like if we're trying to do stuff from the back and I've got all these thighs and meats and things to move through of my own plus your own, that's taking away the inches, right?
Absolutely.
And so if you've only got 6 or 8, and we both are larger bodied humans,
you're really only getting like 4.
Come on,
right?
Yeah. That's the tip.
Yep. Like
which is fine if you're really into pleasure, like just right in the front. But if you're into pleasure like deep and like you're into feeling stretched or like any of those really wonderful feelings as well, you're gonna need a little bit more, which is not bad. It's just like, let's add some stuff on.
It's like fat folks and larger body folks. I feel like it left out of the discussion when it comes to sex and pleasure, because we should just be happy with what we have,
and we're not,
and we're absolutely not, and that's unfair.
These lingerie options are terrible.
They're the worst.
I cannot wait to make lingerie. I cannot wait. I don't know if you've run into this, but like, it feels like with the larger lingerie, they always want to make it so modest.
They do. They're like, let's cover it all up. It's not okay, or the straps are too small, and it's not in.
It's just not well thought out.
Yeah, it doesn't balance. But I feel like definitely fat folks and larger body folks are just left out of the equation when it comes to sexy time stuff. I feel fortunate that I discovered the spare parts harnesses.
Yes,
because they're so nice, and they suck you in. Like, so you're like I'm supported. Yeah, and I mean, you pair that with a dildo.
Yeah,
and they'll stay in place. They'll stay in place. So it's, you get to fuck for their pleasure on your own. It's a delight, but it's definitely. I feel like it's this intersectionality, right? I feel like a lot of the media that we consume surrounding sex is very much so. It is one size fit all,
and it's white size.
Yeah,
come on.
It's white.
Like it is white size fits all. This is what that prototype.
We're starting to close up the bar, so we're just running a little short on time, but like no rush.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
And that's why this is so important. I mean, you've got it. You've got like the drive and the energy, and it just like brings me so much joy.
I've got the vision. I've got the ideas.
And it is so needed.
We need to get you the money.
Yes, I need the investors. I need the prototype makers. I need the folks who can help me get the patents. I need like the folks who know the science behind the vision.
Yeah.
So I know you're out there.
Yeah.
Come to mama.
Hit Briq up. Listen, I feel so blessed and fortunate to know you as a colleague out here, as a peer, but also as a friend. I really appreciate you being our very first guest.
Thank you for having
I
me.
couldn't think of anyone
I feel
better.
hella honored
Sure.
because like I look up to y'all. I think y'all are dope, and I love that the work that y'all do, and I'm so grateful that we share community. So I'm appreciative that you thought enough of me and my work to invite me to be a part of this beautiful space that y'all are creating and y'all are doing. So thank you.
And stop.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're
Stop.
amazing.
You are
both
so amazing.
You really
Just all the love and light. I just you guys don't even know. Some of you know, but most of you don't, and that's great. I just thank you so much for hanging out with us and listening. We'll definitely be back with something else next month. But in the meantime, definitely check out our Instagram. Again, it's _sexuala.t as in sip tea
Yes.
_ and if you go there, we have 4 episodes of our mini cast. Our mini cast. They're usually about 30 to 45 minutes, and this last one was super awesome. It was about jealousy and compersion. So definitely invite you to listen to that.
I didn't listen to that one.
It's really good. It was really good. We had some really good feedback, and definitely hit us up. Our email is SexualiTEA, as in Seattle, at gmail.com. So SexualiTEA at gmail.com. If you have any questions, you have ideas about topics that you want to hear about, anything like that, we love all of that.
Yes.
Please and thank you. And make sure that you follow Briq House on Instagram.
Yes. On Instagram, I am at Miss Briq House. That is MS period. BRIQ. The Q is for queer. HOUSE at Miss Briq House. Also, if you just look up the hashtag Briq House, BRIQ HOUSE, you will find me out there on all the things, on the Twitters, on the OnlyFans.
Yes.
On OnlyFans, I am Goddess Briq House. Also, if you just need to email me, I am goddessbrickhouse@gmail.com. Holla at your girl. Also, missbrickhouse.com. There's all the things. There's so many ways to find me and support me. Also, my favorite way for you to find me is on Cash App, which is at $BRIQHOUSE, or on Venmo at BRIQHOUSE.
I also like when people reach out to me via Cash App and
Yes.
Venmo.
You
That's my
get-
favorite.
People get so much of a faster response from me on OnlyFans and via Cash App and Venmo. I wish that other people would really hop onto that train because that's how you'll get me faster.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
And I think
Yes.
that when you're asking of someone's time or their attention, specifically when you're in the
And their
presence,
expertise.
right?
Yeah.
It's
Especially-
about the expertise.
expertise.
That's why you're reaching out in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should pay for it.
Yeah, let's start
Absolutely.
valuing the erotic, right? I
Absolutely.
think that people think it's just free,
It's
but
not.
you wouldn't ask your dentist to like give you a
No.
consultation about your tooth for free.
No.
So it's like you're asking me stuff about sexuality, you're asking me stuff about sex or whatever. I don't know about you, but I get I know probably yes, both of you get these things where people write out their whole sexual life story in your inbox, and you're like,
Hey.
okay, there's the button. I want to talk to you about this, but in order to honor both of us, I need to do this in a professional setting.
Sure.
Yeah.
My DMs on Instagram is not where that's going to happen.
Absolutely.
You're not going to be served well. I'm not going to be, compensated well. Like, it's not going to work for either one of us. So let's honor both of us and actually make it a really great and successful time for both of us.
Yeah.
If we handle the business.
Yeah, I'm just saying I might be more apt to speak to someone if a pair of, size 11 rose
Period.
gold pleasers show
Oh,
up.
yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, please.
might be more
How I
interested
miss
in
thee. I
having a
love it.
conversation in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it shows that people are first of all listening to you, and you deserve it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the piece, is that your time is worth it.
Yeah.
You are both incredible. I'm incredible.
Yes.
Like, we're
Yes, you are.
worth it.
Your
And
time
Yes.
is worth it.
and our time it's meaningful, and this is how, again, this is like awareness of like how we restore,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
you're restoring, and what a total gift that we get to do this.
I'd like to
Absolutely.
restore on an X
How
poll
cool.
if anybody wants to order me that.
Yes,
love
restoring that.
I have a P.O. box. You can send it to.
Yes.
So yeah, connect with us.
Please.
We welcome connection, and we've all been we've told you where you can reach us
Absolutely.
and how. Yeah.
And be sure to check out our Patreon. We just launched it. And
Yay.
really excited about it.
Is this video going to be on there?
Yes. That's the plan. So check out our Patreon. It's patreon.com, and that's /SexualiTEA. again, as in Seattle. Check that out. We hope to get some merch soon because you definitely need a teacup that says SexualiTEA on it
Give me
so
a
badly.
T-shirt
Yes.
so I can rock it.
I want crop tops.
Yeah, I want a crop top too, so I can like show like the bottom.
The underboob.
part.
That underboob. I like that underboob. We appreciate you all. Have a good night.
Super grateful.
Stay
This was so
hydrated.
fun. Thank you.